Hey, it's Hugh Hewitt, and when I want to know what's going on with the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe, I tune into Sports Fix.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Welcome back to the Sports Mix Live. Yeah, we do it Gangnam style. We do it all kinds of style, baby. On the line, our special guest, Brown's great. Without this man, there is no Dog Pound. Hanford Dixon.
Hey, big dog, you know, y'all got it going on over there. I was sitting there watching y'all. Y'all got a good show, man. I've listened to your show a lot, man. I got to compliment you guys. You got a really good show going there.
It's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Sports Fix Universe, support your boy J-Rocc. Show some pride for the 216. Pick up a brand new J-Rocc Daddy t-shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com. Just go to ProWrestlingTees.com/J-Rocc. J-R-O-C-C, and pick up a brand new t-shirt today. Show some love, support the 216, and give it up one time for J-Rocc on ProWrestlingTees.com. Hey guys, J-Rocc here from the Sports Fix, and we always talking about using our platform to try to help the world and the society we live in, and everywhere I go and everywhere we go, bullying is one of the problems in today's society. There's nothing worse than any person, big or small, strong or weak, adult or child, feeling picked on, pushed around, vulnerable, and victimized at the hands of a bully. Change comes one person at a time, and my good friends at No Such Thing as a Bully are working on skills and techniques and ways that we can all change and make things better for everyone. Find out more at nosuchthingasabully.com.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Catch every UFC pay-per-view live in full HD at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
And off we go, baby. We are live. The Sports Fix in the air from Cleveland, Ohio. And let me tell you, Clevelanders, wherever you are. I mean, I don't know what world y'all live in. I don't know what world you're living in right now, but I found myself yesterday talking to somebody, and the words, man, you kind of feel bad for the Cavs that the Indians are going on at the same time, and you kind of feel bad for the Indians in the World Series that the Cavs are getting their championship rings at the same time. And then you look at each other and go, the hell did we just say? What a world it has become for Cleveland. And last night, if you're listening live here, Tuesday night, the scene downtown, it was, as it's been said once or twice before, lit up like Las Vegas down there, and it was amazing. The TNT set up down there behind the queue, and then the watch party and all the people in between the queue and Progressive Field, where, yes, on one side, the Cleveland Cavaliers are getting the bling that goes with the ring, baby. The championships all being given out and the banner raised to the ceiling, and what an atmosphere there. And across the walkway, the Indians in Game 1 of the World Series, and what a Game 1 it was. We're going to definitely talk so much about that as Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber was so good, but Andrew Miller, my friends, Andrew Miller come in and loaded the bases and didn't give up a run, man. I mean, there is something, we've said it here all season long, something special brewing down there on the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, baby. And last night, the world saw Game 1 of the World Series. We're going to talk about that with Dan Wismar. We're going to talk Cavaliers as well. Vince McKee, the author, my man, is back on the show. It's been a while. We're going to talk about the Cavaliers as they raise those championship banners last night. Vince McKee's latest book, The Official Cavaliers Championship Story Being Told, all in. We're going to talk to Vince about that, about how Cleveland has truly become Believe Land, daddy, and so much more. Dan Wismar, sports writer extraordinaire, joins us about 20 minutes from now. After the news, we're going to talk Cavs and Indians and Buckeyes upset last week. Special teams did them in and so much. Well, let's do it. You guys ready to rock and roll? Welcome in, my friends, to the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, with you here doing the thing each and every week as we come across the Sports Fix Radio Network live on sites such as TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app, mobile app, worldwide. Perhaps you're listening to us on Spreaker, on their digital and mobile apps, on our home base, thesportsfix.net, your one-stop shop. Hey, if you're not already, bookmark it. Even if you don't listen to the show there, the show streams live. Every time we go, you don't even have to push a button. If you're on the website, you're listening live as well. It's got replays and archives of some of our all of our episodes and some of the highlighted episodes. It's got our social media widgets and our sponsor banners who help make this thing possible free of charge for you guys every time the Sports Fix is out there in the ether. So check it out, bookmark it, and make sure you check them out as well, thesportsfix.net. Shout out as well to the thousands of you guys around the world. We say it all the time, listening on digital and digital delay 24 hours a day, literally everywhere around the world, on sites like iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio service, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on SoundCloud, on CarPlay, on all of the different places that you guys do the thing. Download it, feed it, subscribe to it, however you get your fix. Thank you so much for doing it, baby. Cleveland, it's like this is man, this is the promised land. This is what you never thought you would see. I mean, I literally caught myself last night during the game looking at my son, looking around the room, the people I'm watching the game with, and saying, man, if only my dad, if only your grandpa was here to see this. He went up there and pulled some strings. He said, you know what? I suffered through a lot, and y'all are going to fix this for Cleveland. I'm telling you, so many of our parents went up there. It was like Cleveland had a little riot up in heaven and said, look, man, we ain't taking this no more, Daddy. And look what happens, because come on, a scene like last night, and that doesn't happen many places like regularly, period, let alone here in Cleveland. The ring ceremony and the World Series and the eyes of the world. There was two blimps on Cleveland, everybody, last night. Not one, but two. What a great night it was. What a great time it is. Guys, do what I did. If you don't go to the games, if you don't have tickets, go down there during these games, these watch parties, the atmosphere. Everybody's just downtown, and it's just the greatest atmosphere, the best Cleveland I've ever seen displayed, and it's because of what these sports teams have done and how it's truly brought everybody together. Like the Tribe says, rally together. Oh, man. Guys, be a part of the show. Can't take live calls today, but we will record them and play them. Hit us up, 216-539-7535. How proud are you, Cleveland? 216-539-7535. Facebook, Twitter, email. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Twitter at TheSportsFixCLE. You can email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. You can hit me up personally on Twitter at JRockDaddy. On Instagram as well, at JRockDaddy. Hit us up, guys, as we're rolling. Vince McKee, the author, is going to join us just a few minutes from now. I've got a phone. As a matter of fact, speaking of phone calls recorded on the hotline, I've got one here. I'm going to take that in just a moment. I want to quickly update you. The Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge brought to you by FantasyJocks.com. And indeed, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Got on the air bragging about my 6-0 start last week, and it is now 6-1, as I indeed was falling down from the mountaintop. And it was one of them weeks where you had too many buys and injuries to do anything. So, alas, I now stand 6-1. However, I'm just a game up on several guys now. XPO Trucker, the Morning Wood, their representatives, Mason's Maniacs. There's a lot of competition here for the big gold belt, brought to you by our friends at Fantasy Jocks, America's fantasy sports superstore. If you need anything fantasy sports, that is the place to be. Draft kits, trophies, championship belts, rings. They got all the bling for your league and everything you need from start to finish. FantasyJocks.com, America's fantasy sports superstore. Quickly, one phone call before I go to my man, Vince McKee, and we're going to start talking some Cavaliers, and then we're talking some, and it is Believe Land time, baby, and we are going to go to the phones now. Caller, you are up on the Sports Fix.
J-Rocc, it's been a minute, but it is your boy, Ronnie Rotten. Man, was it a magical night here in Cleveland last night. I was at the Cavs game. It was unbelievable seeing that banner getting raised in the city. Finally, it was great seeing the Cavs look like they haven't missed a beat, man. They came back on that court, and they look like the championship form team that we had last year, but even better. Our team's better this year. I don't care what anyone says. We have a way better team. In my opinion, our worst player is Dunleavy, and that's not a bad problem to have. As soon as we left, we actually left the game a tad bit early to try to get some of the Tribe game in. And the second I walked out, boom, our third home run got smacked. So it was just crazy in Cleveland last night, man. I wish everyone could have got out and experienced that. If you're not down here for the World Series, between the queue and the field down there, they're doing watch parties, and they had a bunch of people out in stages, and it was great, man. Seeing the city once again come together with no problem, no issues, and just loving our sports that goes on in this city that thrives and what feeds our city, man. It's something magical to be a part of Cleveland right now. And God, do we deserve it. There's been a lot of suffering. There still is some suffering. As you know, you and my fellow friend wake up every Sunday and we call it Rides of Sadness because we know we're going to wake up on Sunday and be sad. But, we've got these other two teams here right now holding it down in Cleveland, and I can't think of any other better way than last night to celebrate just having two teams raise a banner and another one about to raise a banner very soon. Cleveland, get out there, support your teams. Do what you got to do. I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you're running around sober, giving people rides. Be safe, man. Go celebrate. Enjoy this time. We've waited so long for it. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Everyone, you have a great day in Cleveland.
Excellent phone call, my man. And I'm telling you, I was down there as well. It was electric, and it was beautiful, and it was a sight to be seen, and the results as well. Didn't even touch on the Cavs. We kind of got started quick here. The Cavaliers, they really did. Look, it's the Knicks, so I'm not going to go crazy. And it's the first of 82, but that was a nice way to start the season. How about, speaking of the opposite of that, who would have predicted, anybody would have lost money. The Horseshoe Casino, the Jack, would have made a ton had they taken a line on the Warriors losing by 29 points in the first game of the season against the Spurs as they try to get Kevin Durant assimilated into things there. Durant was the only one that looked like he was in regular season form there for those guys. But, man, who would have predicted that? But the Cavs, they definitely look like they are early season getting out there and getting it rolling, and still a ton of season to play. But you love to see that. And across the way, the Tribe. We're going to talk about them, but I want to talk some Cavaliers first. Talk about what led to last night, the raising of the banner and the rings, and what a chill-inducing ceremony it was last night. Let's talk to my man. It's been a while since he's been here. The author, Vince McKee, who wrote the championship book. He told the story, if you will, about the Cavaliers championship run. Vince, my man, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. I enjoyed the Dusty Rhodes reference there with the if you will, obviously, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Jay. Thanks for having me back on the show. And that was an unexpected book, but one of probably the most fun ones I've ever written. To be honest with you, I wrote it as everything was going on from the NBA Finals 2 years ago, unfortunately, when we lost. So it was one of those things where I had the idea, and the publishing company contacted me and said we need a championship book here in about, a week. And this was, again, during the 2015 finals. So I got started on it. Obviously, it didn't happen. We didn't win, but the nucleus was there. And then I just followed them throughout. And, it was a blast. Just really getting to write the whole thing. And when you read it as you did, you'll notice that I wrote it live. And what I mean by that is there's no revisionist history. As you're reading the book, I was writing it as those events were going on. As when David Black got fired, you could see how emotional and angry I was in the book, and then as it went on. So I think that's what makes it a lot of fun. Is it's almost like going back in time and reading it through.
Yeah, almost like a live journal, which is much different than sitting back when it's done and putting it together. So. Talk to me a bit. I mean, you've got a ton. Matter of fact, you've got 2 books out right now. Like, how does that happen, man? You went from a guy scrapping to get your first book out to now you've got too many books out at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I just had my daughter born on September 10th as well. So
congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, to say things have been crazy. I didn't plan it that way. No way in heck did I plan it that way, but what happened was I wrote the book on the Browns, Bernie, Bill, and the Browns, about the last 10 years before they moved, which was really a great 10 years, right before they moved to Baltimore. And I had written that back in 2014, and I couldn't find a publisher, so that thing sat on the shelf for years, and it just happened to work out, whereas I found a publisher for that, and then the Cavs ended up winning the championship, and they both wanted, both publishing companies wanted the books out for Christmas this year, so just one of those things. It's pretty wild to walk into a bookstore right now and then see both of them on the shelf, like front and center, at the same time, so pretty neat. Definitely both books are worth buying. I mean, the Browns book is... it's pretty intense. There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of, game recaps, but the interviews in that book make it worthwhile. The interviews with Bill Belichick and Reggie Langhorne and, Felix Wright, Tommy Vardell, Lever Horde. The list goes on and on. Brian Brennan. So, yeah, both books are definitely real good right now, and they're keeping me busy for sure.
The Browns book is the next one on my list of those to read. Most definitely looking at that one. And, talking about your books, I mean, right across the way last night, I mean, you wrote the book on Jacobs Field and the history and tradition there, a couple of years back. And then to see last night, how awesome was last night? I mean, come on, man. I was down there, and it was freaking amazing.
It's incredible. It's one of those things that I did not see this in spring training. I realistically did not. I didn't think we had the power in our lineup. So.
I did, man. I called it in spring training. I called Indians-Cubs World Series spring training on this show. And look at this, man. I didn't expect the Indians to come storming through the playoffs like they have, man.
It's a lot of it goes with momentum and kind of Cleveland against the world seal. And obviously, last night at the Q, that's what LeBron said, too, kind of us against the world. But, right now you want to think, with two of our better pitchers hurt, with Salazar and Carrasco on the sidelines, and our best hitter from last year and really the last couple of years, Michael Brantley, he only played 11 games. So when you look at things on paper, I don't think anybody saw this. But it's awesome for me as a fan. And, that's why I always tell people I realize I write books and I write for, NEOSportsInsiders.com, cheap plug there for you. But, yeah, it's to me, to sit back and watch all this as a fan is so much more enjoyable than have to, write about it. This is the one time with Indians where I get to sit back and watch it. And, last night I had a cold soda pop and some peanuts and just enjoyed the night instead of, during the NBA Finals last year when I was writing it all in, stressing out over every second, knowing that I had to put over a year's worth of work into a book and then, it might not happen, especially when we were down 3-1. So, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, just one of those things where now as Cleveland fans and sports writers and, yourself as a show host, we could all just kind of sit back and enjoy it and just kind of soak in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's amazing because this isn't a fluke season. This isn't like, 2007, a run for the Tribe to the playoffs or getting into a wild card game. This is the Cavs and the Indians are on year 1 or 2 of what looks to be a strong run of this is going to be potentially in the works for the next few years in a row. I mean, the redheaded stepchild falls a little bit further behind with every disgusting Sunday loss, but the other ones make you forget all about it. But this is the beginning. This isn't, like I said, like sometimes you have that fluke year and then it's like, oh, back to whatever. This is going to be the norm for the significant going forward, man.
Oh, I agree completely. When you look at youth on that team like Tyler Naquin and Brantley and Ramirez and Lindor, I'm not a huge Kipnis fan, but even Kipnis, I mean, there is. I love
Kipnis, man.
I
love him.
Just not. But there is some substantial young talent on that team. They're wrapped up. I think Joe Buck made a point of saying it last night during the game that Andrew Miller's through, I want to say 2019, I think his contract. So we got him through another couple of years. It looks good. I mean, it really does. You want to think anything crazy should happen. I mean, they're going to have to try to re-sign Napoli and Davis and, kind of players like that. But really, when you really sit down and look at it as a whole, you're right. I don't think this is a fluke. And when you really analyze it, and you got Ryan Merritt, he's young. He could probably make the rotation next year if Collins falls out. I mean, there's a million different ways to look at this. And you would think, realistically, that it should work out. As for the Browns, I truly think they're going to be better. I really do. I don't know about this season, but I got to meet and talk with Hugh Jackson last week. I mean, he's very positive, very good guy. I think you're going to head them in the right direction. I think it's just going to take some time. It's as they say, for the numbers to play out with analytics, it's going to be a little while, but I'm not giving up on them just yet, J-Rocc.
I got to be honest. There's no question in my mind about this season. If I think this week may legitimately be the only shot at a win that I can see for a minute here. I mean, it's going to be this season, brother. It's probably going to be one of the worst in Browns history. This will be right up there with 3-13 back before they headed out of town, as you referenced back to your book. This is going to be one of those really bad ones, man. But
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to try to put them.
Oh, yeah, no, but hopefully it's the beginning of where they're trying to go. But the best thing about it is we don't have to care, man. We don't. Right now, we don't. Like, they can just, sit on the back burner because the Cavs and the Indians have got things cooking and the World Series and the Cavs raising those banners. And it circles right back around to your book. All in, the story of LeBron James and the 2016 NBA champion. Oh, say that a million times. Cleveland Cavaliers, my friend. What are you working on now?
Just changing a lot of diapers. Whatever I could do, really. It's nice. I'm done for a while. It's been great. It's been a great run. I've written 9 books in 4 years. My goal was to write 1 book, so obviously overachieved. But we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be really hard here if the Indians win the World Series. Not to write something. We'll see. I think it's a cool book. I don't want to give it away, but I think, if you look at 2016 in Cleveland sports, you look at the term City of Champions, I'm just saying. Like, I think you never know what might be available on bookshelves in the spring, but I don't want to yell that out too soon. So let's just get through this World Series and see what comes next. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, where can people pick up All In?
All In is available anywhere books are sold. So Barnes Noble, Books A Million, really Amazon's the easiest for people. They like to go on their phone and shop. And also Walgreens. So the next time you're sick and got to go pick up your prescription at Walgreens, head over to the magazine aisle and you'll see all my books there, which is kind of cool. But
that's really cool.
Obviously, holiday season coming up. And same with the Browns. So Bernie, Bill, and the Browns is available everywhere.
Fantastic. Yeah, when I got the book, it was a hardcover. I said, all right, man, I
would have made it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right, man. So anywhere books are sold, All In, the story of LeBron James and the 2016 NBA champion Cleveland Cavaliers by my man, Vince McKee. People can talk to you on Twitter at Vince the Author. Anything else?
Oh, no. I mean, like I said, just like J-Rocc just said there, guys, follow me on Twitter and Facebook and all that. And, I'll let you know when different, different
Vince
appearances.
McKee, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. When different appearances are coming up and stuff, that way you have a chance to come out and get your book signed. And, the one thing cool with, real quick with Bernie, Bill, and the Browns is that a lot of the ex-players still live here, like Brian Brennan and Felix Wright, and really a few of the other guys. And I know Felix for sure would be out with me, at a book signing coming up. Once it gets planned, I'll announce it. But, yeah, I mean, the Vince McKee signature, it is what it is. But if you could get a couple of ex-players on there as well, I mean, that really makes it worth something.
Oh, absolutely, man. So make sure you guys check it out. Vince McKee on Twitter or on Facebook at Vince the Author on Twitter, wherever books are sold. Bernie, Bill, and the Browns, All In, the story of LeBron James and the 2016 NBA champion Cleveland Cavaliers, and all of Vince's books. Vince, my man, you have a good one. I can't wait to do this again real soon.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Jay.
You got it. That's my man, Vince the Author, Vince McKee. Great to have him on again. When we come back, let's take a break. Get you the news. Dan Wismar, sports writer extraordinaire, my man, Dan, in the house. We're going to talk about those NBA champion Cleveland Cavaliers as they started their campaign, but we're going to start off talking about starting off the World Series with a victory. 17 of the last 19 teams to win Game 1 of the World Series have become champions. Are the Indians set to make that 18 out of 20? Dan Wismar joins me next. We're going to talk Tribe. We're going to talk Cavs. We're going to talk to you next after the news. Don't go anywhere. Coming back with Dan Wismar next on the Sports Fix.
We'll never surrender.
No way.
Ain't no way, never surrender.
No matter what the odds.
Ain't no way, never surrender. Come on, man. Got to make it happen. Come on, man. Make it happen.
Come on, Cavs. There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Yeah. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
Football season is party season at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. And no matter who you root for, everyone wins at Harry Buffalo. Every Saturday is Coors Light College Football Saturday with $6 pitchers, 4 bottles for $10, and the Buckeyes in full HD. Every Sunday, all the Browns action with Bud Light beer specials and $10 hair of the dog pitchers.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs and have some fun.
Plus, every Monday night, catch the Monday Night Football action with some of your favorite Browns players. Football season is most definitely party season, and your headquarters is Harry Buffalo North Olmsted all winter long. Harry Buffalo, join the herd. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
News break.
I'm Jay Reynolds. The Blackhawks, the Bulls, the Cubs all scored the same amount tonight. Keep in mind the Blackhawks and Bulls didn't play. Cubs shut out in Game 1 in Cleveland. Indians with a 6-0 win in the World Series opener. Terry Francona now 9-0 as a manager in the World Series, extending his own record. Roberto Perez for Cleveland, 5th catcher in the World Series history with a multi-homer game. First player in Indians history to hit multiple home runs in a World Series game. He had 2 out of the 9-hole, first 9-hole hitter to have a multiple home run game in the World Series. And the Indians shut out the Cubs 6-0 to take the opener. Starter Corey Kluber setting a World Series record with 8 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. He went 6 scoreless, struck out 9 total, allowed 4 hits through a total of 88 pitches. With rain in the forecast for Cleveland on Wednesday, baseball moving up the start time for Game 2. First pitch just after 7 Eastern. Our coverage now begins at 6 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. Opening night of the NBA season. And 29 points seem to be a theme.
Cavaliers, big lead, up 22. Here's Porzingis backing down Love. Spins, fades, misses. It popped out.
And there it is. And the crowd knows. Triple-double.
James, the rebound. A triple-double opening night after he had a triple-double in the Game 7 win last June.
Mark Kessler here on ESPN Radio. Cavs get a triple-double from LeBron. They rout the Knicks by 29. LeBron with his 43rd career triple-double. Warriors are blown out by 29, losing at home to the Spurs. San Antonio getting a career-high 35 from Kawhi Leonard. They spoil the debut of Kevin Durant with Golden State. Blazers a 9-point win over the Jazz. On the ice, Sidney Crosby back with the Penguins, scores a power play goal in his debut after missing 6 games with a concussion. Penguins rally to beat Florida 3-2. Lightning pound Toronto 7-3. Wild score 4 times in the second, beat the Bruins 5-0 in Boston. Football, no surprise, the Giants cut kicker Josh Brown. It comes in the wake of the public disclosure of his admission to abuse of his former wife.
Jordan Scarlett and the Florida Gators welcome Jacob Eason and the Georgia Bulldogs for an SEC showdown in Jacksonville, Georgia, Florida, Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Get your fix. It's the Sports Fix.
The only sports show with to save your
Saturday night, we're sending you back to
the Sports Fix.
Because there's only one thing left to do, right? Because that's how you draw it up. Ryan Merritt, right? That's how you get to the World Series, right? That's how you draw it up, right? Roberto Perez, multi-home run, only Indian to ever do it. That's how you draw it up, right? That's how you draw it up, right? You know how you did it? Andrew Miller loads the bases, and then no runs come across the plate. Wait, what was that I heard? It is amazing time to be in Cleveland. Welcome back to the Sports Fix, my friends. And Corey Kluber gets left out in all of this. What a my goodness, 8 out of the first 9 strike out. Oh my goodness, we're going to talk about it. My man, Dan Wismar, is on the hotline. Welcome back in. J-Rocc with you here. Leave your calls on the hotline, 216-539-7535. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, email, facebook.com/thesportsfix, Twitter @thesportsfixcle, email us, thesportsfix@aol.com. Make sure you like us as well while you're there. Join the 25,000+ social media followers, Cleveland sports fans, everywhere, sports fans, are in, this is Nirvana, and it's the beginning of it. It's not even a fluke run, as I was saying. Let's get Dan on the hotline. Last night was absolutely amazing. Dan Wismar, my friend, how are you feeling today? Do you realize that this is real life?
It is not a dream, J-Rocc. It's great to be with you. I'm going to the game tonight. It's going to be fabulous. Last night was such a great night. Sitting at home last night, of course, watching on TV, and watched as much as I could of the entire Cavs pregame on PBS or TNT, whatever that is, with the ring ceremony and the banner, and I was in tears, man. That thing was fabulous. That was the greatest thing to happen in a long time around here. And then, of course, the night just kept on getting better and better.
I mean, you're not kidding. I mean, just thinking about it now, literally, goosebumps everywhere, chills up and down my spine. What an amazing scene that was. And okay, LeBron's from around here and all of the history of what he went through, that's one thing. But you see how much it means to all of them. J.R. Smith, said, I had to touch the ring to the banner because once they raise this thing, you never get to touch it again. And you realize how much that means to guys that have, been buried in a place like New York and never even came close to doing anything, and then they come and they finally hit that nirvana, and they do it here in a city that appreciated it. I mean, I'm telling you, there can't be a city in America that appreciated raising a banner as much as Cleveland did last night.
Well, yeah, and it was one of those things where I'm sitting there watching that thing, and I said, this is the coolest thing to happen since, and I'm trying to think of since what, and I'm thinking, well, actually, that parade was pretty damn cool,
right?
With a million 3. So I went ahead and said, well, yeah, since the parade, it's the coolest thing to happen because that was pretty cool itself. But yeah, just a great night, and all the replays of the LeBron block on Iguodala and the Kyrie shot and the total meltdown and relief and joy that LeBron experienced after the final gun there. In Game 7, just spectacular to watch, and I thought it was well done. A lot of people were whining about the TV coverage of it. I thought it was great.
I did too.
I enjoyed every minute of it, watching that and just reliving some of that stuff. And they played some of those highlights, in an hour-long show, probably 3, 4, 5 times. I just that's got a big kick out of the whole deal. And then, of course, the entire baseball game was fabulous and couldn't have been any better. So, and I cannot wait to go tonight. I'm heading up there as soon as I get out of work, and it looks like we might get wet, but what the hell? Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Cavs, it's, the first game of this season or whatnot, but I'm telling you, you can see and feel about these guys. They now have that accomplishment behind them, that veteran, that kind of, they're a different team. This is a team that now is focused on doing it again. And I had a caller earlier say this team's better than last year's 1 through 12. I would agree with that, and I'm very interested to see now the growth of this team together. But last night, man, they looked pretty good, for it being just the beginning and starting to run through this thing.
No doubt about it. And I was thinking the same thing about the team 1 through 12. Guy like Dunleavy there who is going to come off your bench every night and give you assists and rebounds and defense and scoring and 3-point shooting and a year under the belt for some of these other guys that were new last year. Better reserve point guard play, more scoring off the bench, guys like McRae, and I agree that it's just going to be a better team as we watch it come together. And we know enough to know that the team at the end of the year, the bottom half of that roster might well be shuffled around a little bit or changed, and guys will be gone and other guys will be here. But right now, game one, I think the biggest statistic from last night is 14 assists from LeBron. He obviously had the triple-double, and took him a couple minutes to sort of blow the cobwebs out a little bit with their shooting and get over the emotion of the pregame stuff. But Kyrie goes off for 29 and LeBron 14 assists. He's just back to distributor, having fun, finding the open man, made some incredible passes. Before the ball game started, I was able to watch, good portion of the first half of the Cavs, and that was apparently enough because that game was over early.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? Look, LeBron James has a very, very high basketball IQ, as everybody knows, and this is his third year playing with Kevin Love, playing with Kyrie Irving. I mean, you've got to think it's going to be really cool to watch because I think you're going to see a lot more of that. I think this may be, and I was talking to some people in the offseason about this, and I said, man, I got a feeling that LeBron – He may come close to averaging double-digit assists this season for the entire season. I think that may even be something he aims to do because I think now he's got so much more of a comfort level of what works for Kevin Love, how to work with Kyrie Irving, how to play the hot hand, and the supporting cast being stronger as well. And I think Birdman's going to end up being a Cleveland favorite by the time it's all said and done, man. He's an upgrade at that position as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see them. But last night was the epitome of fun, and I said it. I know everybody that has somebody who passed on before that happened said, man, I wish whoever was here, and boy, do I wish my dad was here because that was one amazing night last night. And then across the way, Progressive Field, I mean, it was beautiful. It was not just beautiful like, in the sense of, it was beautiful, like not just like, Serrano is beautiful, man. I'm talking about looking at it. It was bright and colorful and lit up last night. I was down there and it was amazing, and the crowd was so loud you could hear it literally a mile away from the stadium. It was fantastic.
Yeah, you're right about the place looking good. I mean, the place does not look like a 23-year-old ballpark. First of all, the scoreboards are spectacular now, and people. I've sat next to people all during the season that came in from Detroit or came in from Chicago, and everybody's knocked out by that scoreboard. They say they've never seen anything like that, the high resolution and just the size of it. It's spectacular, yeah. And all the new ribbon boards and stuff. People come in from around the country, and they're impressed. And it's definitely something to be proud of. And I'm not just talking about the scoreboard, but the way that ballpark has aged so well over 20-some years. And, obviously it helps when it's packed full and rocking.
And you know what? That before we talk about the actual fantastic Game 1 of the World Series and how they got there as well, because last week you and I went off the air pondering the mystery of Ryan Merritt, and then so too were the Toronto Blue Jays by the time that was all said and done. But you just said packed and rocking like it is. This run, this finally doing it and getting over the hump for all the people that said, well, when they actually start winning again, do you think that this is going to be a night in, night out thing next season after the craziness of this run, especially if they top it off? I mean, are we looking at a return to a couple of summers here like it was back in the 90s?
We could be, Jerry. I've always, the sleeping giant theory was always the theory of my youth, of my upbringing.
Mine
win
too.
and they'll come, and when everything came together with the team, the ballpark, and the Browns leaving and everything in the mid '90s, it looked like the sleeping giant theory was proven out. But I have come to doubt it a little bit in recent years when the team has been a winner. This is the third year in a row now, and we still were second to last in Major League attendance. And obviously this kind of an event, and if they win it, even if they don't win it, could put them over the top into, a significant bump in, season ticket sales and general attendance. I would hope that this team could certainly draw 25 a game next year. I think they drew something like 19 and some change this year. You'd think you'd be able to put at least 5, 6, 7,000 increase on your average attendance coming off a World Series appearance. So it's my fond hope that they will. I've been critical of the front office and their lack of salesmanship and sales effort and visibility during the off season, and you've heard me with that rant many times. But that's when you sell season tickets for the next 3 months: November, December, January, February. That's the time to sell season tickets, not March or April or June or July.
Oh, yeah, and they're going to be red hot coming off of this. I do. I think that this is definitely, especially because you mentioned something. Before, it was the perfect storm that included the Browns leaving. Well, now the Browns have, through their own decision to start over again, they've taken themselves out of the equation for at least, the next year or two, maybe 3, I think, before you're truly competitive. You know what I mean? I mean, this is, last week they upped their record from the week before. They had 19 rookies on the 53-man, and that was the most any team's had since, I think it went back to now 2008. So the more rookies they add, that number will grow. So I think we're still very, very beginning of that thing. So they've taken themselves out of the equation for the fan dollar, from the ones that are making decisions. Obviously, the hardcore Browns fans are going no matter what, but so I think we will see that. And I think your number may be right. That's a good estimate. And then I think you'll see a lot more sellouts than just the opening day, 4th of July, occasional big Yankee game. I think you'll see maybe a couple dozen actual sellouts during the season as well, So yeah, and then it's a building process. And plus, hey, this could, show the Indians' wiseness as far as taking those seats out, because if they do continue an uptick in attendance, now the demand will overdo the supply again, and then you'll be in a good position. You know what I mean? Because you've got the smaller
definitely.
stadium.
Yeah, definitely. So. And not only is it not as hard to sell out, but you're right that when you reduce the supply, hopefully demand will increase, and we'll have like you say, a couple dozen sellouts. And once you get into, it's always going to be tough in April and May. But I would think that you could put 5,000-6,000 on your average. Coming off a World Series. Now it's more than a one-off. It's a trend.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as Francona is here, and as long as this front office is doing what they're doing, and of course this particular season they look like geniuses with the Andrew Miller trade, and throw in the Coco Chris deal and some other minor moves. Even the Geyer who took one on the leg last night. That's his best move.
Yeah.
And they just continue to do it like they've been doing it. In other words, that first inning was so prototypical of the season with a little dribbler down the third baseline, a 2-out hit, a stolen base, a little infield, lucky hit, frankly, by Ramirez, and then Geyer with a hit by pitch. That they've got 2 runs on one of the best postseason pitchers ever, and that was all they really needed, bottom line. Again, the bullpen came to do what they do, and it was just an incredible night. And then obviously Berto with the two bombs.
I mean, all knew that was going to happen
out of the blue. Not only the first catcher, the fifth catcher to do it. I guess Yogi Berra did
and
it.
The first
and
Indians player, period. Yeah.
Yeah, and the first number 9 hitter ever.
Yeah, 9 hitter.
I heard that on your. I hadn't heard that before, but that's also a pretty cool number.
Yep.
Just an amazing game, and went to bed sky high, and took me 45 minutes to get to sleep. I was just all cranked up.
I am too. Just thinking about it now gets you right back there. I mean, that game last night was one for the ages. Corey Kluber. I mean, everybody talks about taking it to another level, but that was perhaps the best you can see out of, I mean, unbelievable. The way he started that game, striking out 8 of the first 9 batters. I was sitting there with my jaw open going, wow, this is something here. They had the lead, and I just could feel it. I said, man, that was enough. The 2 was enough. I could just feel it. I said, man, they're not getting anything else because they're not touching Kluber. And if they get this to Miller, that'll be over. And sure enough, then, and not to see, I keep going to Andrew Miller because Andrew Miller was so amazing last night. I texted my tag team partner, and for those of you that don't know, I do pro wrestling, and I said, we're renaming our finishing move the Andrew Miller because it's lights out when we hit it, man, because this cat decided to entertain people during the World Series. He comes in the game and loads the bases.
Let me load the bases up here first.
For no outs, let's just have some fun and then mow them down. Nobody scores. I said, you have got to be kidding me, right? At that moment, I knew. I'm telling you, the Indians are winning this series in 5 games, man, and that's because I don't want to be cocky and say a sweep. I just feel like all of the momentum in the world is on the Indian side, and they can do no wrong, and they showed it last night, although I want to skip ahead to a question. You texted me literally as I was starting to pick my phone up, and I was saying the same thing to my brother. I was going to say it to you. Cody Allen comes in with the 6-run lead, and I'm guessing it was either they on TV tried to speculate that it was because he had the 5 days rest. I just assumed it was because nobody else was warm, and it was either send Cody Allen out there or send Andrew Miller back out there for another inning, and then you can't have him perhaps for game 2. So I don't know why Cody Allen came out with a 6-run lead, but either way, I'll never question Terry Francona, brother. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. If there's one thing we've learned is don't second guess Tito and his bullpen management, right? But and I've got to believe it was because that was the plan as going into 2 outs in the 8th inning.
Right, 2 outs. They did all the damage. He
had been up already, warming up, and before the 3-run bomb, and it's a no-brainer that he's coming in if it's 3-0. So he's up and warm, and like you say, you'd have to get somebody else loosened up and stretched out and heated up, and that just wasn't going to happen in that short a time frame. A minute after Perez's homer, we're out of the inning and we're going. And it had to be Cody at that point. I was wondering at the time, but you think about it, and it really was the only move that made sense at the time.
Yeah,
and Cody's accustomed to going 2 and 3 days in a row too.
Right, and that's what I mean. And another inning.
It's not like Miller. Not like Miller. He doesn't throw 40 pitches in an inning like Miller, or an inning and a half, or an inning and 2/3, or whatever.
He threw 50 by the time he came out. Right, he had 51 by the time he came out. So.
Yeah, and it was 2 full innings because he came in with nobody out in the 7th. But yeah, so he's probably not doing anything tonight. Tonight, it's the only question is Bauer. And I got to say too, Jerry, we're the Rodney Dangerfield of sports.
No respect. No respect.
ESPN's lead story today. Forget the Tribe winning the World Series game. Forget the Cavs ring ceremony. It's the Warriors lose by 29 at home.
I'm looking at it right now.
In the opener, they're apparently not going to go 82-0. So our feature story on the family of networks there is that the second best team in the NBA last year, lost their opener. So that blows my mind. And of course, the national media still thinks that all the Indians have is Kluber.
Right.
The Cubs got shut out by Kershaw too in Game 1, and they stormed back and won it. Most of the people nationally still feel that the Cubs are going to overpower this team, and And once they get back to Chicago, the bats will come out and they'll rack up 8 and 10 runs a game. I don't see that happening, but who knows? I mean, one thing we've learned too in Cleveland is not to get too cocky too early.
No, and I agree with that. But, I mean, you look back at the last series and the series before. They had some high-powered offenses. Here come the Red Sox, and then, boom, here come the Blue Jays. Well, the Blue Jays are going to show the Indians now. They're gonna find out that after Corey Kluber, they got nothing happening. And then here comes – and I wanted to bring this up anyway, so it's a good segue. Ryan Merritt. Last week, we're talking about it. Here goes Francona again, says, I'm going to throw this kid out here with his 11 innings pitched and his 84-mile-an-hour, curveball, and let's throw him out here against Encarnacion and Joey Bats and all these guys, and he didn't do nothing but pitch the Indians into the World Series, man.
Exactly. You and I were talking about it. We both had a good feeling about Merritt. We knew he was going to come out with the curveballs and to throw to a fastball hitting team, and it made us look good. He made us look good in our predictions that he would. We both kind of had a good vibe going into that game with him, and like I said, he came out and made us look like we had a crystal ball.
You got that right, man. And, talking about the ESPN, it's amazing. You're so right how that, oh, look at what happened to this. And all around, the respect given, or not given, I should say. They can't hide it from the Cavs anymore because LeBron's such a big national story that they have to respect him because they wouldn't want to offend the LeBron James brand. So then, theoretically, the Cavs get some love now. But it doesn't apply to the Indians, as you said. But I laugh at it because here go the end. They don't care. They don't care who appreciates them, who likes them. They don't care if their own beat writers write them off, if the national beat writers write them off. They just go out there and win games, and they're up 1-0. And I can't wait to see as well, like you said, what Trevor Bauer does on the big stage, because we saw what it did for Corey Kluber. He took it to another level and really was phenomenal. And you want to see if it does. It can have the opposite effect on guys, but if he locks in, does Bauer perhaps, especially after what happened with his last start and his finger, that'll be something to watch. I thought the story too was funny last night as Kenny Lofton coming in to throw the first pitch and he couldn't get on the plane. I don't know if you heard that story.
I did not.
Yeah, the plane that he was supposed to take was either late or delayed, and the other plane coming to Cleveland was overbooked, and there was an Indians fan who was traveling who gave up his plane seat so Kenny Lofton could take it so he could fly to Cleveland so he could throw out the first pitch, which I thought was a pretty cool story.
That is pretty cool, and it's almost as cool as the story of, speaking of Ryan Merritt, how the fans chipped in and basically emptied out his wedding registry at Target. And bought him all the wedding gifts that were on the registry. That was kind of a cool story too. Saw the photos of the packages piled up at his front door and that kind of stuff. Just it's wild how this community embraces their winners when they finally get them. That was a great story. Of course, the other thing that I heard was a prediction that at some point in the first quarter of the Cavs game that LeBron was going to call a timeout, dash across Eagle Avenue, and throw out the first pitch of the World Series game. That didn't happen, but that would have been a cool thing too.
That would have been something right there, like Superman changing and
excuse me for a minute. I got something I got to go do here.
Yeah, be right back, guys. Actually, there's probably no rule that says he couldn't have just. He didn't even need a timeout. He could have just came out of the game for a few minutes, ran over there,
right.
I mean, they could hold down the fort for 5 minutes while LeBron's off the floor. That would be something to see right there, Speaking of, I think the Indians should get a hold of this guy who gave up his seat and bring him in for a World Series game because I think that was pretty cool. I was reading the story here as I was bringing it up, and he was just standing in line, and he looks over. He's an Indians fan that lives out there, and he sees Kenny Lofton saying, man, I can't get on the plane. I've got to throw out the first pitch. And he said, hey, he can have my ticket. And that got Kenny Lofton there in time for the game. That was pretty cool. The Indians should get that man a ticket to World Series Game 2 or something, man.
Yeah, no kidding. I got to tell you, right at this very moment, Jerry, I come out from my office because I work at a defense contractor. I'm not allowed to have my cell phone in the building.
I know you're like super locked down VIP guy.
Yeah, I have to come out to my car to talk to you. So I'm sitting in my car as we speak in the parking lot, and I've got hail hitting my hood of my car and my windshield right now. Hail. I got 46 degrees, but I got solid ice little particles hitting my car. So that may be what's in store for us later tonight. Who knows? I hope it passes, but it's raining, and I got my first sight of frozen precipitation here as we speak.
Hey, Dan, speaking of things to talk about real quick to throw out there for perhaps foreboding, but we love to throw those little stats out there. I've got a bunch of them that should make you feel good as Indians fans with this 1-0 lead. Over the last 30 years, almost every team that lost Game 1 of the World Series went on to lose. They've had 12 of the past 13 have lost the series, 17 of 19, and 24 out of 28. All the way back to 97, last time the Indians were in the Fall Classic, only 2 teams lost Game 1 and went on to win, and that was the 09 Yankees and the 02 Angels. That is amazing considering how many different teams in 7-game series and all of that. But for the Cubs, they've got some ominous stuff too. The Cubs have now lost 14 times in Game 1 of any type of playoff series. They are 1-12 in the other 13 when they lose the opening game. And they've lost Game 1 in a best of 7 10 times that they've been in it. They're 0-9 in the last 9. So history is not on the Cubs' side as well, so maybe that'll work out for the Indians' favor as well. But I thought some of those numbers were interesting, particularly Game 1, how it shows that even in a 7-game series like that in baseball, for some reason, obviously when you're talking 24 out of 28 years, that's a trend that Game 1 puts that losing team in a hole that's particularly hard to come behind from in baseball for some reason.
Yeah, no doubt. And even if you just look at the numbers, you've got to win 4 out of 6 now.
Right.
And 3 of those 6 are going to be at our place. So that's what makes it tough to do. Tribe plays well at home. You've already got a situation now where they've got to win 4 out of 6, and 3 of them, if they win them, are going to be at our place.
Absolutely. Actually, man, this will be, the next time we talk, Dan, we will either be looking ahead to Game 7 of the World Series, or we're going to know what happened one way or the other. That's nuts that it's going to happen so quick. I like this compared to the NBA's staggered schedule with all those days.
Which goes forever. Yeah.
Right. Because this is how it should be. Yeah.
Literally months on end. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Cleveland for 2. Travel 1 day. We're in Chicago for 3 days in a row. Take a day off and come back to Cleveland if you need to for the last 2. I mean, that makes sense. But that whole taking 1 day off between every game and 2 days off between travel games makes a 7-game series take 3 weeks.
Right. And 6 and 7 would be Tuesday, Wednesday. Am I right?
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, right here in Cleveland if we're needing it.
Once again. All right.
Oh, that's going to be.
So
amazing.
your prediction is 5, huh?
I really feel good about that, yes. Like, I want to see what happens when it gets – I mean, we, once again, have to get into Ryan Merritt. We have to get into wherever they're going to go with that 4th starter or whatnot. But, I think that – and that's potentially this Cubs lineup can play. They didn't win 103 games on accident, but I looked over at my son. I said, man, there's still a difference between having a DH and then having that pitcher in the lineup. And I do think that in a lot of ways that, that – I put less into the National League squads, I think, a little bit than the American League because of that. Because I think you obviously get extra outs and pitchers look better over there. And, I mean, still 103 games is 103 games. But we'll see what they do. But, yeah, I think the Tribe in 5. And that's only because I don't want to say a sweep. I mean, even Toronto caught up to them there in Game 4.
Right. One thing I did not hear anything about, Jared, because I went to bed right after the game, and I'm up at 6 and out. The Santana situation, what do you know about that?
As far as?
Carlos Santana and his injury.
I don't know.
I mean,
yet.
is he all right? I mean, is he good to go? I mean, I think an overlooked part of this team and how they've been successful is the switch hitting aspect of it.
For sure.
And you can roll Lindor, Ramirez, and Santana out there every single game, and they're always, hitting from the right side of the plate. That's a big deal. I just think it maybe has been undersold, underplayed a little bit as this season has gone along and the playoffs have gone along, that we don't care if you're throwing a righty or a lefty because we're going to load up against you either way.
I agree. Speaking of that real quick, and I'm trying to see, I've got nothing in my email, but I'm checking something out real quick as far as the
I mean, he stayed in the game, right?
Yeah, and I think he's good because I haven't heard anything from the Indians at all. But what do you think?
I just wonder if it was just a tweak or if it was something that was it a knee? Was it an ankle? I didn't even really find out what the deal was. And I don't really have much access during the day to internet.
Yeah, as I was checking on that, I wanted to ask you about Santana and about the DH because that will be something that's going to be interesting to see what perhaps the Indians could do. I heard some people speculating, does he play left field? It'll be interesting to see what Terry Francona does when it switches to Chicago.
Yeah, that's true, and I guess the same thing holds true with I forgot about Coco Chris being in the same situation. You can conceivably have 4 switch hitters in this lineup as long as you're playing Santana at some position. But you don't want to sit Napoli down, I wouldn't think, when you go to Chicago and you don't have a DH. I would assume he's going to have to be in there at first base. I don't think you're going to play Santana over him at first base. So, but yeah, it remains to be seen what they're going to do. Obviously, the big question is pitching. What's the starting situation going to be? Can we expect a Salazar appearance? Can Trevor Bauer go more than 1 inning? I haven't heard a lot about that, but I understand that they restitched that situation on his pinky, and that what I don't get is he's not allowed to wear even so much as a Band-Aid on it, a flesh-colored Band-Aid. I thought it was. The purpose of that rule was supposed to be about not distracting hitters with anything of a different color on the hand. Is that your understanding of it, or
yeah? And that's kind of but
I just wonder about why he's not allowed to have some kind of a flesh-colored wrap on it that wouldn't distract any hitter or be even close to being that kind of an issue for him. But I guess that's the rule.
Like now I want to call somebody and find out the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to be heading up there tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have to fly right now, but always great to talk to you, man. And wish us luck tonight. I got to wear the rain gear, but it's going to be great. I'll text you a picture of the scene once I get up there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you can get it in because they moved the starting time up an hour. It looked like I was looking at the weather right as we were going on the air here, and it looks like the rain is supposed to come in significantly somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock. But by the 11, 12 o'clock hours tonight, there is 100% chance of rain. So hopefully they can get this thing in, 7 o'clock start, get it done quickly in like 2.5 hours. Because when you start to get around 9:30, 10 o'clock, the percentages zoom way up. And more than likely, there will be rain by that point. And as you said, there's already some hail in the area.
Be creative,
in the World Series, there is no suspended games. They have to play the full 9, or they've got to do it again tomorrow, right?
That I don't know that to be honest with you.
I do believe that's
another
the rule.
That there's no rain shortened games in the World Series.
Yeah, as far as I understand, the game needs to be played in its entirety. So if they can't get all 9 in, they'll have to wipe it out. I'm not 100% on that, but I do believe in the World Series that is what they do.
Or hang around long enough to finish it up with some delays. Yeah, that it could be a long night for us.
Well, hopefully they get that one in. Dan, enjoy it while you're down there, my friend. It's an awesome atmosphere for sure.
Cannot wait. I'll catch up to you next week, Jerry. Thanks a million.
You got it. My man, Dan Wismar. You guys can tweet with him at DWismar, DWISMAR. Thanks again as well to Vince McKee, the author. My man, the author of All In, the Cleveland Cavaliers championship story from 2016, and Bernie, Bill, and the Browns, as he talked about, and so many other books. Check him out as well. You can tweet with him at Vince the Author on Twitter, at Vince the Author, and check it out. I just finished reading All In, and it's an excellent chronicle. As he said, instead of just being a story of what happened afterwards, remembering it as it happened, it's a great story of kind of almost like a live journal of how he was feeling moment by moment as that was going on. So check it out, Vince McKee. It's available in stores everywhere, in bookstores and on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all in. The story of the LeBron James and the 2016 NBA champion Cleveland Cavaliers. Thanks to Dan Wismar for joining us. Man, thanks to Cleveland for being so friggin' awesome last night and upcoming. We've got Game 2 of the World Series. By the time we're back here, you guys enjoy this show throughout the week. By the time we're back here, we're going to either be looking at Game 7 of a World Series or we're going to know who the champions of the world are. I'm telling you, it's the Cleveland Indians. There's going to be another parade down Euclid. This one's going to press the record even further than 1,000,003, and it's going to be Chief Wahoo leading the way down Euclid. Guys, enjoy it all. Have some fun wherever you're at, and make sure you're back with us here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Party on, Cleveland. Enjoy the World Series, baby, and we'll see you live next week. We love you, Cleveland, and beyond. We'll be back here next week on the Sports Fix.
From that terminal, you can see the lake from here. Faith in my teams, we keep getting closer every year. But we got the king, though, so hopefully we overcome. Yes, I have a dream, and I know I ain't the only one. Armadale tried to steal my heart, but we brought it back. Thanks to Cleveland Clinic, now they call them Kiss the Cardiac. Rock Cars, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love Slimans. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra.
Hey. We rep our city. Blue lights separate the crime from the gritty. We're sick fitted. Hood class cover any city that we visit. When